Hello and welcome to a fresh new episode of Real Talk. I am your host, Anele Mdoda, coming to you live on SABC 3, and I'll be with you for the next hour. We kick off the week with Monday Business Motivation. Can you build a multi-million rand empire with little or no capital funding? That's what entrepreneur and aggressive startup investor managed to do. We found out how from the man himself later on in the show. Lebo Gunguluza is here. Everybody's talking about the fourth industrial revolution, the Uberization, if you will, of business and digital disruptors. But what does this mean for you and me who want our own startups? Is app technology the future of business? We'll also unpack that. We profile a digital company that's revolutionizing the recruitment industry, making it cheaper, faster, and easier for job seekers to find work. Co-founder of recruitment app Giraffe, Shafin Anwarsha, wraps up the show for us today. Right now, though, the guy who's made entertainment news his business, Phil Impela, with the weekly roundup of everything that happened in entertainment. Phil, obviously, last night, one of the biggest nights in terms of beauty. If you were hot, you were there.
Yeah, well, you were there. I was not there. But anyway.
I guess I'm hot. I'm hot.
Anyway, yeah, another year of crowning a Miss South Africa. And this year was very, very big because they were celebrating their 60th anniversary.
Is that why it was so big? Because I just felt like there was a lot of hype around it. There was a lot of excitement. You know, this is the third one I've judged. And I've never felt such euphoria in the Super Bowl, ever.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, they were celebrating something, so they went all out, and the invitation was more celebrity and big names because they knew that a lot of media would be covering this because of the anniversary. So it made sense that there would be that big hoopla about it. Furthermore, they had like all their previous winners of the last 40 years.
Yes, that was a touching moment.
And having that many star power within the same vicinity, I suppose.
Did you see when Basetsana walked out? Basetsana Khumalo walked out and the windows broke. That place shook.
Basetsana is a queen. I mean, like, she's one of the one of the only black people in a public space right now that we know of who've won this title and has actually created something out of that title beyond just the beauty thing. I mean, all of the other ladies have been able to kind of like, you know, venture into different spaces and be successful in their own right. But Basi has done it in front of our own eyes in terms of
and I think, I don't know if I'm correct, I think what makes Basi special, I mean, she's got a very close relationship with SABC 3 as well, is that she's gone to create a few more Basis without them having to win a pageant.
Exactly.
I mean, we've got the Lona Masekos from Top Billing. We have got Bonang, who's also on Top Billing. We have got Joanne Strauss, who was a queen as well, but also, you know, who was on Top Billing. There's just so much more that she has paid forward, and I think that's why the country appreciates her like that.
Look, on the positive side, let's just congratulate the winner, Tamarind Green. Congratulations. Before we get into the more serious stuff of the evening, because I mean, like, watching the show for me, I mean, there was a moment that I was a bit, you know, touched the wrong way.
Really? Oh,
that's the wrong way because okay, so here's a situation for people at home who don't understand this. Okay, fine. The Miss South Africa that we have now is not the Miss South Africa that has always existed. There was an evolution in 1994 when the whole South African like cultural and political dispensation changed, that the Miss South Africa evolved as well.
93 with Jack
93, yes, you understand. But prior to that, you had a situation where you had the Miss South Africa and you had the segregated Miss South Africa, where you had the Miss South Africa that only catered for white people, and you had the Miss South Africas that had lesser resources that catered for black people.
So it was Miss South Africa and Miss Africa South.
Yes, there were actually two of them.
Miss Black South Africa
and
as
Miss
well.
Black, And with this anniversary, the Miss South Africas who, I mean, I think the simplest way of saying it is this way. The Miss South Africas who won during the apartheid era, the black Miss South Africas who won during the apartheid era, were not brought on stage or welcomed or invited there. And that for me was a touchy thing because I was on they missed an opportunity there, to understand, to have put out a message that says, look at where we are now. We were segregated then, but look at where we are now. And to that, I just want to read a statement from the Miss South Africa organization that says, those pageants were owned by other organizations, not the Miss South Africa organization. We can only reflect on our own journey and that of the Miss South Africa pageant over the last 60 years. We cannot celebrate the success of other pageants during that time as it was not our success. To do so that would be disingenuous. And that's a message that's coming from Suzette van der Merwe.
Yeah.
I hear her, but at the same time, I'm like, no, you're missing the point. You see, right now, Miss South Africa is seen as a white thing. And I feel like this was an opportunity for them to show South Africa that, no, we are not a white organization that caters only for white
Why
interests.
is Miss South Africa constantly seen as a white thing when they are black entrants and they're black? I mean, the top 5 was all black guys.
Yes. No, but the thing is, I mean, like, let's be very
The
honest.
top 12
Yes.
was only 2 white girls.
Exactly, but looking at, was it last year or the year before last when one of the contestants came out and said, you know, the white contestants are treated better than the black contestants.
Very
And
true.
you know what I mean? And let's be very honest, pageant in their nature are seen as a white, Eurocentric and white-centric thing.
And can I tell you,
Yeah.
to speak to your point, I'm going to disagree with you, but
Yeah.
I want to speak to your point first. It is very difficult for pageants in itself to find another, narrative and view of black beauty.
Yeah.
I find, and this is why I continuously judge.
Exactly.
Because I have to be in there to make sure that black beauty is celebrated, because if you were not raised to see black people as beautiful,
Yeah.
you don't wake up at 23 years old and start believing it.
Exactly. That's why.
Yes.
That's why they don't see. That's why it's important that we. Okay, go on.
Yeah. Having said that, with the pageant itself and the celebration of that, they can only really celebrate the Miss South Africa pageant. I see what you're saying, that we should all hold hands and sing Kumbaya. But where are the corporates? Where are the businessmen? Where is the support? Why don't we hold something to celebrate the
No,
queens?
but no. But here's the
Why
thing.
must it happen on the Miss South
You need to-
Africa
let's go back. Let's go back. Okay.
Yeah.
During the apartheid era,
Yeah.
those pageants that were for black people did not have the resources to begin with, and the people that were supporting it then are not here now. I mean, like, if you look at where Miss South Africa is now and remember, they didn't just put Miss South Africa from 93.
Yeah.
They went far
Yeah,
back,
look,
as
they
in 40 years.
they
So
took
some of
Margaret
those
Gardner
white
out.
ladies that were
Yeah.
on that stage were crowned during the apartheid regime. Do you understand? And for me, sitting there, I'm like, what a beautiful moment would it have been if they had
But
not
they
part of
would have
us.
suffered flack as well, to be like, oh, now you see them.
No, but not really.
No. Look, you can't please everyone, and you know that.
I know that.
You
I know
can't
that, I
please,
know that.
especially when
Okay.
it comes to things of this beauty. You can't please
Yeah.
everyone. In fact, for me, I would have found it a little bit insulting.
In what way?
But, okay, nyakwazi balanda ngoku, when you've never included them in anything.
Yeah.
I would have found it insulting.
No, but I mean, somebody who was crowned in 1970, 90, whatever, has never been like there.
I felt
now.
this way, and the only time I diluted my view was when I read the statements.
Yeah.
The one with Cynthia
Shange, who was,
she was
crowned
like,
in
I'm busy, I'm
1970,
going to Durban, doesn't matter. But then another one said, yo, guys, we were excluded then, clearly we're excluded now.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm too close to it.
Look, I think they missed an opportunity. I think they missed a PR moment. I think they missed an opportunity
You
to
see,
have created this
that's
moment.
my cry, a PR moment.
Yeah. Well,
I don't like PR moments because half the time they're insincere.
okay. Fair enough. You got me on that one.
All right, let's see what we've got. Some
images from there.
Oh, there we go. But we've also got a Miss South Africa video that I want you to check out.
Let's just say it.
The winner of Miss South Africa 2018 is Tamron Green! Ladies and gentlemen, your Miss South Africa for 2018, Tamron Green!
She was miles ahead of everyone.
Yeah, well, they were all gorgeous. I mean, I saw that Twitter had its own winner and all of that, but we're not going to get into that.
Okay.
Let's talk about Ms. Bonamatheba. Okay,
Yes.
Here's the thing. I always say that whatever it is,
Yeah.
Bonamatheba has it in bucket loads,
Yes,
okay?
yes.
Number one.
Yeah.
Number two, if you are an entertainer in South Africa and you're quoting somebody and they ever question why you charging them what you charge them, always say, look at Bonang. The reason why Bonang is able to do what Bonang does and change this many times because she's given the resources to do that. And we need to be very cognizant of that. That what Bonang can do on the stage.
So is she given the resources or is she spending her own money?
Well, even if she's spending her own money, she's spending her own money to create a platform so that she can get those resources to show them that I will charge you this much because this is what I have to do to create this moment. Because what she did with that hosting, that was a moment. She created a moment. She created, like, I mean, there were people tweeting these things that, okay, fine, just give the crown to Bonang. And it made sense, you know what I mean? So love or hate, whatever issues that you have with her, you cannot deny that that girl understands entertainment.
But wait, did somebody say she didn't do a good job?
Well, you know, there's always going to be somebody who's going to say, like, oh, there's Bonang. Why is Bonang hosting this thing? Now, you know, but, you know, I'm just saying that if there's somebody out there who's saying that, look, give the girl her props. She's amazing. She kicked it off the park.
Yeah, I think it was a wonderful TV show. I think it was sleek, it was seamless, it was grand. And you know, when you have the Miss Universe in the room with the Miss Universe organizers, you step up.
Yeah, cool.
You simply
and you know what? With us winning in different territories right now, we have to step up because the world is watching. They want to see this South Africa where these beautiful girls are coming from. So, kudos to them. Look, I'm not a pageant guy, but hey, I love a good show.
I'm shocked that you're not a pageant guy. I would have thought different.
Why?
Listen, quickly, let's talk about Morgan Freeman. This Me Too campaign, this Men Are Trash campaign is just gaining momentum, right? And you can't stop it. And I'm so happy that women are just speaking out. And you and I are going to disagree here, I know. Regardless of how heinous or how viewed as small something is, but Morgan Freeman, 8 charges of sexual harassment. Yeah,
you see, that's the thing. I mean, obviously we can rehash the whole story, whatever, but then my question is just simple on this one. My question is just this, that, okay, Morgan Freeman hasn't done anything with these women. Listen, I'm getting there. I'm just explaining it so that the people at home understand my point of view. He is accused of making inappropriate comments, and one woman accused him of touching her inappropriately. Okay, cool. And then you've got Harvey Weinstein on the other side, who's actually like engaged in inappropriate behavior beyond just touching whatever, and actually assaulted people. Now the question then becomes, if you've got somebody who is just making comments and
pulling up skirts,
and then you've got somebody who's literally raping people, do we put these people on the same pedestal?
Yes, we do.
Okay,
Phil.
Explain to me
why.
Yes,
we do, Phil, because there isn't a degrees in how you can violate me, right? Yeah. Being violated, touching me when I don't want to be touched is as bad as rape. I can't be like, oh no, it's that thing, crime. When your house gets broken into, at least you weren't raped. No, you were violated. Your space was violated. And here's how it can even become more of a violation. You don't know that one of the ladies that he groped had been raped before, right? So now you are infringing on those rights, and you are breaking those boundaries, and you're taking her back to the time when she was violated before. Whether you touch me like this or like this or like this, or you rape me, you touched me.
Okay, cool,
you should not be touching me. And also because it's an act of power. The one woman says that she was on a set with him for 8 months, and every day he threw comments at her. Now that is an abuse of power. Just because he didn't rape her doesn't mean he didn't make her feel unsafe. Okay, cool. So now the other question then is like the punishment then. Should Morgan Freeman have the same repercussions for his actions as Harvey Weinstein? What are Harvey Weinstein's repercussions? Because he only got arrested
He lost his company. He's now being charged
yes, Morgan should lose his company.
Morgan should lose his company.
And you know what our problem is? Once again, we don't want to do this because he's a black man, and we don't want to be, once again, people who are putting another black man backwards, because we know how Americans hate black men, right? So now we want to come up for him. Also, he played God, guys. He played God in Bruce Almighty twice. He played Nelson Mandela. He played presidents. You have that view of him. Harvey looks like an animal, so it's easy to judge him, be like, look at him. He's the type of guy that will grope, that will violate, that will rape. Morgan is Morgan.
Look, I'm glad that you and I are having this conversation, and we can have a civil conversation about this, because sometimes people are afraid to ask questions like this.
Please
because people, me. No, I'm just saying the questions that I just asked, because sometimes you sit at home and say, okay, I was just trying to talk to somebody and they felt violated, and now am I being put in the same box as somebody who actually did something? So having somebody like you right now explain that and break it down is very helpful.
You know, you read statuses, and you read, like Reedy Tabi mentioned it in her book, that to grow up in a place like Alex or Deep Slit or even Soweto, and you can make it to be a 21-year-old girl who's never been sexually harassed, you are an anomaly. You are a miracle. because that's what we grew up with.
Yeah.
Only now am I realizing that you know, our boundaries have been pushed because we were raised to be these objects that they're allowed to do anything with. So if we can't have different degrees of it. It's white, it's gray, it's black. It has to be just black. It has to be just red, but it is wrong. Because once you open the debate to how bad it is, then you are creating loopholes for people who are violating and are animals. And sorry, not animals, because now I'm dissing animals. Sorry, animals. I know you're all watching from the zoo and you love the show. I'm not dissing you, I take that back. But honestly, people who just do not deserve to be lauded and hailed and be given Oscars and be given record-breaking box office things.
Look, at this case, then it seems like the whole of Hollywood will end up closing down because every month
so should be it, because it's not like the world lacks talent.
Exactly.
You know, we'll find another Morgan
Another thing that I wanted to say very quickly is that the one thing that, educated me and changed my mind and stuff like that is when I had a woman say to me that, Phil, what you don't understand is the perpetrator is protected by everybody. It's protected by the victim, the family, society, and the political structure. So that kind of like, hit home for me because I never really could understand it because I'm a guy. I was raised as a boy. I was raised with privileges of being a guy. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's where I stand on that.
I'm so glad we could have this conversation.
I'm happy we did because I'm hoping people at home will learn something.
Oh, Phil, thank you so much. Always great chatting to him. He'll be back next week with yet another dose from the world of entertainment. My next guest grew up in a shack, had no funding for varsity, but set 3 goals for himself: to become a millionaire by 25, multi-millionaire by 35, and billionaire by 45. What inspired these goals? How did he do it? Lebo Gunguluza is on the other side. And welcome back to Real Talk on SABC 3 with myself, Anele. The stage is yours. Success doesn't just come overnight, and certainly not a million-rand business. If there's one thing self-made millionaires have in common, is that all they had to do was start somewhere, and it was not easy. This couldn't be more true for my next guest, who made his first million at the age of 27. He grew up in the depths of Makaki, in township in Port Elizabeth, without a silver spoon in his mouth, but made up his mind to end poverty and set a goal for himself to become a millionaire by 25. When he did not reach that target, he was not discouraged. He has overcome the odds that were stacked against him from the start, battled with many failures, and broke the boundaries by starting a multi-million-rand empire without funding. He's now a turnaround strategist, an inspirational business speaker, and an aggressive startup investor, founder of Gunguluza Enterprises and media. Please welcome Lebo Gunguluza.
Thank you, madam.
Every time I hear your surname, it sounds like you should own a string of butcheries and chisanyamas. Don't you think?
Yeah, but...
No, it's like Gunguluza, man.
Yes. I mean, it's a very interesting surname. Now, I've never really understood what it meant, but I was teased at school that you're a loser because you're Gunguluza.
Oh.
But
and kids can rhyme, eh?
Yeah, but, I grew up with it. I've faced many challenges, and anything that comes before me, I've never really took it seriously because I always knew that there's another day tomorrow to give me better opportunities and to change things.
But when does that happen? Because it's nice to think like that, and I think it's amazing. And I would hope we all get to that level of enlightenment and involvement, right? But at 10 years old, surely you don't think like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that, your background must never ever define you, obviously, because I was born in a shack behind dead people, which means behind the funeral parlor. It's not a nice way to start life. But then my father passed away when I was 6 years old, so I grew up with a mother who was a nurse, so could not really afford to raise us properly. So she took us to a rural school in Fort Beaufort called Tubaletu. Then there we boycotted many, many times, and I repeated classes about 4 times. And by the time she panicked that, look, I must take the money that my father had saved for us for university when he passed away. You get one of those.
Yes.
And then she decided to take us to private school in grade 9. And then I had to repeat classes again there. So I was literally the oldest guy in class. So I was teased all the time. So the issue of being teased for me and using that to leverage and create a better opportunity out of that, because because I couldn't speak English well, I was teased. I was from a rural school. They then, in grade 11, there was a competition because I made a deal with myself that I don't care what happens, let me learn this English because it seems to be important, because the fact that they're making me repeat classes, it means it's important. So I entered a competition in grade 11 after committing myself to learning this English in 2 years. Out of 10,000 young people that entered the competition, that was done by Mnet and multi-choice, I came number 1 because I committed.
Does that get you the praise, the recognition that you've always wanted from your fellow pupils at Woodridge?
Yeah, I mean, if you commit to anything in life, you're bound to get the results that you want. Most people don't commit. They do half this and half that. And they don't commit no matter how tough things are. But if you commit, you're bound to get the result you want, which is why when I finished matric at 20 and all the other guys were 16, 17, I said to myself, I don't like the last 20 years of my life. I want a different 20 years going forward. That's when I made that deal with myself that by the age of 25, I want to become a millionaire. By 35, a multi-millionaire. At 45, I want to become a billionaire. Because it's that commitment, but it was a long-term commitment, so that even if things are tough on the way, at least I've got that goal that I'm chasing after.
You know, when I hear stories like this, of people made a commitment to themselves, I don't know, I think it was Will Smith who wrote himself a check.
Exactly.
For $20 million, and he ended up cashing it. What does commitment look like to you? Do you write it down? You know, is it something you just say to yourself whilst you're walking home?
Yeah, it's very important to write it down. But for me, it's the energy I surround myself with, you know, that I know and understand that I'm born to be at a particular level. So it's a belief and a faith. And when you run a company, especially even as a CEO or as an entrepreneur, in most times you don't see what you're committing to because it's invisible. And most of us don't understand that the power lies in the invisible, because the physical people make the least money in the world, because the physical is the easiest thing to understand and to appreciate because it's there. You know, that's why people who do physical work in the world are always earning the least money, because the guys who dig, who do the gardening,
so
and all of that, they make the least money in the world.
There's no vision or strategy.
It's just that they use their physical body, and the body gets tired, the body gets abused. And the people who apply their minds in doing the work that they've got to do, those are the educated people. So in the education space, which means the mind level, that's where now you have the power to think strategically, and you are empowered to make decisions. And when you make decisions, that means you control the people in the body space, which means that you are the supervisor that looks after the people in the body space.
Let's get specific then, because you didn't have money to start this business, right? Because you make it sound like if I can just start telling people, this is my plan, the bodies are going to start working. You need money to convince people to do things.
Yeah, let me explain it to you like this in simple terms. Is that there's 3 areas in which you work at in life. It's the body, the mind, and the spirit. Very, very important. You've got to develop yourself out of relying on your body in order to make money. That means that you've got to educate your mind. That means when you educate mind, you think clearer about strategy and decisions.
I hear you.
Yeah, and then there's the spiritual level, which is the body level, where so the mind, the soul level, where ideas come to your head and you have to activate those ideas. Now,
what's the first idea you activate to get you money then?
To make the money was then the quieter storm. You understand? So the quieter storm, I then came up with that idea, but you need the people who work in that space, and you needed the people with the right minds to help you, and then you then get your idea activated, because your idea without the strong people with brains and without the people who are in the body space will never be activated.
So who gave you money for the quieter storm?
The quieter storm, again, is the idea. I did the quieter storm with no money.
No, look, now you're not answering me though.
That's what I'm trying to tell you.
Nothing can happen without the money. So who are you convincing to do it?
Because in this world, there will always be limited resources, but there's unlimited creativity. And in the mind space, you work with creativity. That means that if you are creative enough, you will get the right people to do the work on your behalf without you even having to spend the money, but more creativity. Because
wait, I feel like we should let people into what is Kwaito Storm? What was it?
okay, the Kwaito Storm was the first event where I made my first million at the age of 27.
Okay.
I did not have a cent, but I do share this and the principles I used to make my first million at the age of 27. Hence, I started the 12-12-12 program, which teaches people on how to make money without any funding or any form of resources or any form of investment. And then the institute, then I ran that for 5 years. But I felt that there was a huge demand of people wanting to know, how did I make my first million? Then I started the Lebo Gunguluza. I'm launching the Lebo Gunguluza Entrepreneurship Institute now.
So the only way I can get this answer of how you made that money is if I join this foundation, because you're not telling me.
Well, that was the idea, is to make sure that people join the institute so that I can show them how you can make money without any form of funding.
Okay, we're going to go for an ad break. Lebo Gunguluza's success may look easy, but it's been a long and hard journey. On the other side of the break, we chat how he lost it all. He got it at 27, he lost it all, lost it again, and then bounced back. But before that, did you know that cell phone technology has become so advanced that small business owners run 100% of their businesses on smartphone apps? If you don't believe it, why don't you see it for yourself? Enter the HUAWEI competition and stand a chance to win one of 10 HUAWEI cell phones, and here's how you do it.
Real Talk, HUAWEI and MTN are partnering up to celebrate the release of the new HUAWEI P20 series. The HUAWEI P20 Pro, the world's first triple Leica lens camera, is partnering with MTN, SA's fastest mobile network, to help you capture the best moments with your friends and family. We'll be capturing timeless moments and connecting with people in need while giving you the chance to win the HUAWEI P20 Pro and 10 gigabytes free once-off MTN data. So tune into Real Talk for your chance to win.
Lebo Gunguluza has seen it all, he's heard it all, and he's been through it all. At the height of his business, on his second goal, he made one mistake which saw him get negative media coverage, lose clients, 7 million rands worth of other businesses also went away in just 3 weeks, and left with debt to the tune of 4 million rand. The most painful time in his life. But throughout his career, he has lived 9 lives in business, losing millions more than once, making him the ultimate breakthrough entrepreneur. This is Real Talk. This is the evolution of Lebo Gunguluza. So you make this money, this million rand at 27.
Yes.
And then you make some haphazard decisions around it, right?
Yes.
And then you lose it.
Yes.
Now, it's all nice and well to be like, bounce back, you can do it. If you've done it once before, you can do it again.
Yes.
But how long is the period between losing it and finding that mentality?
Well, in 2004,
Yeah.
it was really, really bad. I mean, I lost a lot, and I was in debt, and I had to make a decision now about what do I do. So I owned the building that my company was sitting at. So I had to decide whether, with this million that's worth out of this building, am I going to pay the debtors and still be in debt of 3 million after paying 1 million?
Yeah.
Or should I make a different creative decision? So I decided, let me look for the guys who want to kill me and pay them a certain amount of money, and then look at a way of extending the other guys that I owe another 3 million to, in order for me to still recoup and survive. So what happened is that there was an opportunity for a Premier PRT in Rosebank. So then we used those resources to make sure that we acquire the Premier PRT in Rosebank. That gave us an opportunity now to repay the other guys over time, but it also gave me time to rethink into the future about how do I restart the Jam Group again.
So you took the 1 million from the building,
Yes.
and you bought Premier PRT.
Yeah, I took part of it to pay off the debt,
Yes.
but then used the other part to invest in the Premier PRT operation.
And are you transparent with the 3 million guys and be like, listen guys, I know I owe you 3 million, but look at my plan.
That's
and
it.
this is what it's gonna do.
That's
and
it.
over this amount of time, I'll pay you back your money.
Because you needed a business that's sustainable, so a business that pays you every single month, so that you can have an opportunity to settle the debt. You understand? And you must also remember that at all times, success is rented. at all times, you must always be innovative, because if you're not innovative, someone else will go past you. And then the only time you can slightly relax if you're in business is if you're running a business where you're making money while you're sleeping. But as long as you make money while you're not sleeping, your success is rented.
Okay, so you touched on something that somebody can always come and overtake you. There was a time when you came up with a business idea, and you were basically a club promoter.
Yes.
And you were throwing parties and you were making
Yes.
all this money. And then somebody got a hold of that DNA of your business. And you say it's somebody famous. Are you going to tell us who
Tish Mataz.
Is it Tish Mataz? You got him deported. Ah, I see
Tish,
you.
you know, I was the first person to launch a club in the suburbs, in the Santin area.
Yeah.
And then it became extremely popular. And then obviously he saw that I've got this huge, and he was a radio DJ.
And he had a bigger profile than
That's
you.
it, he had a bigger profile than me. And then he opened just down the road in Rosebank.
And he killed you.
Then I was closed down because I didn't have a strong enough profile.
Okay, so then how do you bounce back from that?
Well, I had to be creative again. So what happened is that I met up with another businessman. He's quite popular also. And then I partnered with him because he had more resources than me. And I didn't have resources that time. So we got a house next to Santin. And we created a club out of that house. I forgot what that club was called, but it was next to Santin City. So that means that I was telling him basically that I'm moving higher because I'm next to Santin City.
Was it not Rock and Roll Palace?
I think it was that. And then I opened another one in Sunny Hill that became even bigger than all of them. But obviously, when you try something, you learn.
Yeah.
And you know what you've done wrong, and you're able to do it better.
So as much as you're an entertainer at heart, because I mean,
Yes.
from running a tuck shop when you were 10 years old,
Yes.
and then opening, a club, and also the place where people could eat meat and all of that, and then
Yeah.
then all the other clubs, and then teaming up with YFM and
Yes.
getting them to give you airtime so that you could do these parties with nothing.
Which is where I made
Your first million.
My first million, yes.
How do you diversify yourself then? Because if you're
Yeah.
worth 300 million, according to my 2015 report, then it means you diversified yourself.
Yes,
You
yes,
didn't
yes.
just stick to throwing parties.
The entertainment space was very, very difficult because there were a lot of school plus promoters. So at some stage, I started managing like artists out of that, managing the club and running the club. So artists said, Lebo, can you please manage us? So I started managing Mendoza, Andile, Cheese Corp, and those guys. And then I went to around the country promoting them and making money. But it was such a bad environment in terms of payments. So I had to change my mind and say, I'm not comfortable with how people pay in this sector because there's a lot of dishonesty. I want a more structured environment. Then I went into the corporate sector because there you get paid before, while in this other one, you get paid after.
Because people
you
are waiting for
perform.
the door. Yeah.
That's it. So I went into the corporate sector. So I started a company called Corporate Fusion because I wanted to show people that I'm now moving to corporate. And when I moved into that, I went to various businesses to understand how the space works. And then I launched the Soweto Awards after understanding how the business works. And it was a different type of eventing. And in that eventing space, that's when I started launching big award ceremonies. And those award ceremonies made me a couple of millions. And obviously, I think I was careless there and there. That's when I lost a couple of millions again.
Okay. And then you made it all back. Sitting
Yes.
here, you haven't lost anything. You're fine now.
Yes, well, for me, I think what was important for me was the fact that I always reviewed my clientele. Because remember, any business you go into depends on the market that you have chosen. And if the market that you have chosen is not reliable, that means you're going to run an unreliable business. But if you structure your market, so now I've grown to understand the markets that I'm going into. I've chosen the markets that I'm involved in, and I understand the sustainability of those markets. That means now I can project my business, how it's going to do in the next 10 years. While if you're a new entrepreneur, you're studying, you're fighting your battles, you are worried about money coming now. But now I can see my business in 10 years, I can see my business in 20 years.
Lebo, we're out of time, but just to wrap it up, and if you can keep it to 10 seconds as answer, I'd really appreciate it. So entertainment is where you started out, and you were quite a maverick in it, and you're known for it, and you're amazing at it, and everyone knows you for that. Currently, give me the furthest away business you do from entertainment? Something that you are, be it coal, making drums, making plastics, making shoes?
I've just launched the digital bank. Okay, the first digital bank in Africa. I've just launched that, and I also launched a new platform called HUAWEI Africa, which will create an opportunity for young entrepreneurs to set up their own e-commerce and online stores without paying a cent, without any design skills. And I've just launched the first digital currency in Africa called Afri.
You see, now, this is what you and I need to talk about, which is good because you said you're coming back, right?
That would be great.
You are coming back. Thank you so much. Lebo Gunguluza has just launched the first black-owned digital bank in Africa, taking advantage of the promises of the fourth industrial revolution. After the break, how employment can be reduced using an app is what we'll be discussing. We meet the disruptive game changers in the recruitment space. Stay with us. And welcome back. Disruption isn't just a buzzword. Everybody is talking about how disruptive technologies are transforming the business landscape, from self-driving cars, remote-controlled smart homes, to the Uberization of everything. Business partners Anis Shivdasani and Shafin Anwarsha, who saw a gap in the labor market, they dream to solve South Africa's unemployment problem with just the push of a button. They left their hometown of London and solid jobs as consultants to launch a startup business that would transform how recruitment was done. Their business saw them win the best startup in the world at the SAFTA World Summit in Switzerland, beating 53 other tech startups from across the world. Co-founder of the recruitment app Giraffe that brings job seekers and employers to a meeting point is here. He is Shafin Anwarsha. Thank you so much for your time.
Anele, thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
So I am blown away by Giraffe, right? The first thing that blows me away is, why did you call it Giraffe?
Yeah, we get asked that question a lot. I don't know, giraffes are cool. You know, when we came up with the name, we wanted to have a name that was memorable, that people would remember. And we saw a lot of symbolism in giraffe as well.
Can I interrupt?
Tall neck.
Yes, tall and sticking neck out to get the leaves,
That's
which
exactly.
is the money.
It has a long neck. It can look for things, maybe help you look for a job, help you find staff. Yeah, so we thought it was the traits of a giraffe were quite cool, and we'd like that to resonate with our brand.
I like your policy, your mantra, your vision of making job seeking 10 times faster, 10 times easier, and 10 times cheaper. Walk me through that.
Sure. Cool. Let me start by telling you a little bit more about Giraffe. So Giraffe is a mobile recruitment solution that focuses on the lower to medium skill segment of the market. Yeah. That's the segment we saw that desperately needed a solution. It's 2/3 of the workforce. It's where unemployment is at its worst.
Yeah.
And when we started to unpack that a little bit more, we went into the townships, we went into Alex, we went into Tembisa. We saw that actually a lot of the reasons to why unemployment exists there is just one of access.
Yeah, communication.
100%.
Just being able to get to an interview, just being able to find out that people are hiring.
Exactly. I mean, there's tons of job seekers that have the right qualifications, the right experience, that live in the right areas where employers are hiring. They just aren't aware of the opportunities that are available to them. You know, they rely on poor public transport. They don't always have access to the internet. So we said, cool. How can we leverage, you know, the technology that the fourth industrial revolution and the fact that South Africa has excellent mobile infrastructure?
And the fact that, you know, in Africa, the stat now is at, on average, we have 2 phones each.
100%.
So we're connected, it's just we're not getting the information.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's what we came up with Giraffe. So the way Giraffe works is quite simple. As a job seeker, from wherever you are, you log on to our website, which is jobs.giraffe.co.za. And the system just walks you through by asking you a number of questions. It takes 10 to 15 minutes. Can be done from any phone. Doesn't have to be a smartphone. It uses very little data. In fact, if you're on Vodacom or Cell C, it's even 0 rated.
Oh yes, another thing that impressed me with you guys. How do you negotiate with the cellular networks that, you know, you don't have to? Because ultimately, if you're looking for a job, it means you don't have money for data.
100%.
It means you don't have money for airtime, so you can't be looking for a job. Yet you guys allow people to look for jobs for free.
Exactly. Well, in terms of negotiation, I guess where there's a will, there's a way. Persevere through it. You know, when we started the company, our whole intention was, how can we reduce unemployment and how can we help the job seeker? That's how we started, and we knew that we wanted the app to be completely free for the job seeker. So, you know, they create a profile, like I said, it takes 10 to 15 minutes. They can do it from wherever using just their phone. at the end of it, we have enough data to understand exactly the right type of jobs for them, where they want to work, the types of jobs that they're interested in. And then when employers come onto our platform, they give us their vacancies or the roles that they're hiring for, and our system automatically identifies the right job seekers for them. And then it starts to contact them, again for free. Hey, you've got a job, well, a potential job, are you interested? And if so, you can apply by just clicking a button.
Okay, now I'm going to be that nosy aunt, you know, at Christmas lunch who just wants to know when you're getting married. So I want to know, where do you make your money then in this situation?
Sure, you're right. The key thing with Giraffe is we wanted it to be a social enterprise, but it has to be a for-profit enterprise. If you want to create sustainable impact that would live beyond me, we needed to create a business model that works. And so the key thing here is cut as many costs as we can using technology. So a lot of the work that's done in terms of onboarding clients and onboarding both the job seekers and employers and contact them is done entirely by a machine. But where we get our money is through the employers. So as an employer, you would register and subscribe for our service. It's a flat fee that they pay, and it allows them to hire a number of staff per month. We don't charge the job seeker anything.
Okay,
that's one of the key things at Giraffe.
Yeah. I must repeat that. They do not charge the job seeker anything.
No.
So then whose job is it to do a background check on the possible employee?
Very good question. So the way we do it is, by standard, we do ID verifications on everyone. So we check that they have that it's a real person, the person is alive, that the ID number matches. And that we do by default on everyone that registered on Giraffe. Once the employers have shortlisted a number of candidates post-interview, and they say, hey, you know, Anele came in for an interview and we think she's a really good fit for the job, can we do a background check? That's when we'd say, okay, cool, but you know, this comes at an extra cost. And we would charge for that, but only post-interview. So instead of doing background checks on everyone, we'd only do it on the candidates that you have shortlisted.
Okay, so therefore not having to use as much resource, because why do a background check on somebody who's not going to get the job anyway?
Precisely.
All right, we're going to go to an ad break. I need to know how you got 800,000 people to sign up onto Giraffe, A. And B, you spoke about persuasion. I want to know how you persuaded the eBay guy to give you money. Yeah, the eBay guy gave them money. Imagine you're out of work, the job listings are thin, you have no money to start your own business, and maybe you don't even have a computer to do the search. Joining the millions who are making use of mobile technology to find work. And you're in luck today because HUAWEI is giving away 10 cell phones, and this is what you have to do to stand a chance. This could be you getting a job with Giraffe, yo.
Real Talk, HUAWEI and MTN are partnering up to celebrate the release of the new HUAWEI P20 series. The HUAWEI P20 Pro, the world's first triple Leica lens camera, is partnering with MTN, SA's fastest mobile network, to help you capture the best moments with your friends and family. We'll be capturing timeless moments and connecting with people in need, while giving you the chance to win the HUAWEI P20 Pro and 10 gigabytes free once-off MTN data. So tune into Real Talk for your chance to win.
Welcome back. We're talking digital disruptors and the Uberization of industries. Since its launch, recruitment app Giraffe has signed 600,000 job seekers, registered on its app, facilitated over 200,000 interviews between employers and work seekers. How did they get it right? We're in conversation with its co-founder, Shafin and Anwarsha, who I'm going to ask now, have you recruited any of your staff on your own app?
We have actually.
Really?
Very good question.
So
you actually asked how we managed to get the first few candidates onto Giraffe.
Yeah.
So the way we did that is we actually went to townships. You know, when you start a company, we funded it ourselves, and we didn't have very much resources. So both myself and my co-founder Anish, we went to townships and started handing out pamphlets. And it was really good because that's how we understood our audience, and that's how we got our first few hundreds of candidates on. When we did that, we used the platform to hire more promoters, and we scaled up a little bit that way, but surely that's not a proper scalable method. Eventually, as we started giving people jobs, it sort of went viral, and people started telling other people about it, and that's how we started, you know, increasing the number of candidates.
Good news will spread. If I got a job, I'm going to tell you I got a job, and I got it on Giraffe, right? Quickly with the eBay, is his name Omdia Network?
Pierre Omidia.
Yes. Yeah. How did you link up with him and get funding for Giraffe?
It's quite fascinating. He actually reached out to us. So Pierre Media is, so as you said, he founded eBay. I think he sold it for a cool $9 billion, as one tends to do. he set up a separate fund called Omedia Networks that wants to invest in highly scalable technology startups. And you know, we had been around for just around a year. We'd won a competition called SeedStars, so we were invited to pitch at this competition. We just really wanted to tell more people about our platform, right? So that's what we used it as. Lo and behold, we got to the finals and we ended up winning. And it was really good for us because it gave us a lot of coverage, a lot of job seekers came onto the platform, a lot of employers came onto the platform. And with that early sort of traction, it started making news. And we were approached by Omedia Networks and they said they wanted to invest. And we thought they were a really cool brand, so that's how the conversation
Bob's
started.
your uncle. And what's your busiest period? Or is it just, you know, it stays stable throughout?
It's a scale, we're still scaling. So we get busier and busier every single month. There's growth. Obviously, there is a cyclical nature of the business. So, you know, around about December time, I think everyone's just on holiday and that's what people want to do.
They don't care how broke they are. I'm going on holiday.
Exactly.
All right, I think it's fantastic. So I go into the App Store and then I just download Giraffe.
So again, because we wanted this to be as accessible to as many people as possible, we made it a Mobi site. It works on any phone. It doesn't have to be a smartphone. It can be one of those old Nokias that just can access Mixit, you know? You use one of those, register on the platform, and that's that.
Thank you so much for your time. I think it's fascinating and you are a disruptor to watch.
Thank you. It was amazing being here. Thanks so much.
The future is indeed technology and disrupting markets. Thank you so much to my guest, Shafin Anwarsha, for that remarkable insight. Thank you again to Lebo Gunguluza for sharing his journey with us. He said he'll be back to break things down step by step. That's all we have time for this evening. We're back again tomorrow, same time, same place. Tomorrow we have our own mini film festival happening here. The director and actors of Number 37, Ishrat Ali and Monique Rockman, are going to be in studio, and joining them is Shamilia Sidat, who will be talking about her documentary on former public protector Thuli Madonsela. Isidingo's up next, and then at 9:30, make sure you stick around for WTF to Me from us and the team. Good night.